Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to check fresh release from Eduard, and it comes in 148 scale. It copies Focke-Wulf 190A-3, and this time we get a light fighter version as a Profipack, so it might be interesting for these modders who wanted to copy this famous aircraft in a popular scale, but somehow this version was not copied till this time, and now you get a perfect opportunity to actually assemble it in form of a Profipack build, so it means you will get also various useful components inside this nice box. And the kit number is 82141, and we have a commercial sample, so that's the final shape of this release. We have quite nice box art here, and as far as you can see, it's more of a digital painting, and box size is standard for this brand. Here on the side you'll find the address of the manufacturer and some safety devices, and on the opposite side you can see 5 marking options, but they are quite colorful camouflages, so I think you'll find something suitable for your own build. This is a top opening box, and here is what we have inside. So there is plenty of space as far as you can see, and I really doubt that parts will arrive damaged to you. So what I'm trying to pick now is the clear plastic frame. We will start with it, and then we will gradually move to other components which are included into this kit. So, as usual, Eduard experiments with the clear frame shapes, but here we have, I would say, rather classic rectangular frame, and you can notice that we have several versions of the canopy included here. Obviously we will need only one, and you can open the cockpit with help of these parts, so all the necessary things are actually included out of the box. Molding quality seems to be fine, and because this is a Profipack, we have the masks included, so you shouldn't be worried about any possible issues with masking all these clear sections. And this canopy is quite tricky to cover with your own hands and tools, so that's why it's good to get the pre-cut masks out of the box, and it will allow you to focus on more important things than just cutting some stickers. Next we start with first gray plastic spruce. So here you can see 2 fuselage halves, and as you can see, the overall design is pretty much standard for such type of parts. So if I zoom in closer, here you can see the external features. We have recessed panel lines and rivets, and both fuselage halves are molded together with a tail fin, and the cooling area should be assembled out of separate parts, as you can notice. And if I flip it over, here inside we have guiding elements for the cockpit parts, and of course the guiding pins for fuselage halves, and of course the guiding elements here for the engine insert, which copies the engine obviously, because the fully detailed engine is not supplied here out of the box. Next we continue with wing parts. So these ones are divided again in a classic design, I would say. So we have 2 top panels and 1 lower panel. We have pre-molded flaps, we have separate ailerons, and again external features, they include the recessed panel lines and rivets, and the only challenge for you is not to lose all this stuff under the layers of paint and primer. Know that inside, if you flip over this part, we have this thin areas which you can cut off in order to install the aftermarket PE set for the flaps, which is supplied by Eduard for a separate price. We also have these tabs for the main wheel wells, and here you can see the top section of the landing gear flaps. And also here you have the guiding pins, which will help you with alignment of these large parts. Let's not forget that we deal with a 148 scale aircraft, so as you can see, wingspan is quite impressive for a fighter aircraft from World War II. Next, I'm opening another resealable plastic bag. Here we have large plastic spruce, so just give me a second to open it. And here we have... So what do we have here? It's more of a mix of various parts. So for example, here you can see the wing mechanization in form of ailerons. We also have the elevators here, separate rudder, fuel tanks, landing gear doors, bombs, and several versions of the ammo bay cover. As you can see, it will depend on the version of the aircraft you will be copying. Obviously here we are dealing with the A3, so that's why you will be using only one part. All other parts, I guess, are for the upcoming versions of this famous aircraft. Next we continue with the parts for the main wheel wells. Here you can see again 3 versions: engine insert, the fan in the front, pilot seat, which comes as a single piece part, 2 versions of the propeller, cockpit floor, landing gear legs. Here we have the frontal section of the cooling area, another version of the cockpit, and maybe I will zoom in so that you can see all these parts in a bit more detailed way. So you can notice that molding quality is really good here. I don't see any possible molding damage or other possible issues, so it's just a matter of separating these parts and getting them into your model. And frankly speaking, all these details, to get them out of the box, it's really good, and few kits on the market can actually offer the same level of attention to tiny features out of the box without the need to buy some additional aftermarket. And do not forget that here you can also add original aftermarket, which is sold separately. It is made out of resin, but it adds even more features to this model, so it might be an interesting proposition for some modelers. And here on the last gray plastic sprue, we have a lot of parts for landing gear. We have some minor components for the cockpit and main wheel wells. Quite interesting that we have here antennas for the night version. Obviously they will not be used in today's release, and they might go into your spare parts box and come handy for some future builds or maybe scrap projects when you combine all the leftover parts together. So next we move on to the typical Profipack bonuses. And it means that the first plastic bag features the PE thread, and as you can see it is pre-painted, so it will be handy both for the cockpit and also for some external things. As far as you can see, there are quite a few external elements, to be honest. But I remember that Eduard actually produces the separate PE set for external features, so in case you would like to add more, you can get it. But it will require an extra investment, obviously. Here we also have pre-cut mask sheet, so this one will be handy for a canopy, and as far as you can see, it should be also handy for landing gear wheels. Okay. Next we have the separate plastic bag with decals. So here we have 2 decal sheets, both are printed in Eduard, so you shouldn't be worried about quality issues. And as you remember, Eduard decals can be applied in several ways, so you can apply them with a top carrier film, or you can remove it completely, and then you'll get even more, I would say, paint-like finish, but obviously it will require some experience in order not to damage the decals. So here we start with the biggest decal sheet. Here we have all the necessary symbols for 5 marking options. We also have some cockpit decals. Note that swastika is also included, so it is something what some modelers ask when they are building the German aircraft, just to be, let's say, precise to the original prototype. And next we have the second decal sheet. This one is smaller, but here we have various stencils just to give you an idea of the printing quality. If I bring it closer, you can see that these writings are somewhat readable, so it's not just some scribbles which will be applied on the aircraft. These are actual writings, and they just finished in the suitable scale. Next we have the assembly manual. So this one, just like all the August releases, this one is printed on a thick paper, and it's quite surprising because it's quite sturdy brochure. You can see that we have short history note in English language here. Next we continue with the parts map. Blue color means that these parts are not used. Assembly process starts with the cockpit, and of course here, because we are working with the cockpit, you have to use some P parts in case you would like to get more features, and I strongly suggest to use all these metal parts because they will give you a bit more impressive look. And with the Focke-Wulf 190, it doesn't matter whether you will open the canopy or close it, still all these upgrades will be visible. So that's why here it is a must-have, must be installed, and do not skip it even if you have some difficulties. It's better to spend some time and then enjoy the result, obviously. Next we continue with engine insert. We join fuselage halves together with the cockpit in between. We work on the wing parts here and on the next page. And then we join all this stuff together with the fuselage. So here, as you can see, one cover for the ammo bay and one cover for the cooling area is used. And such parts division is actually repeating the panel lines on the real aircraft, so that's why you won't have to bother about any seams in this visible area. The same goes about the lower section. So the only thing which is left here in the tail section, and I'm not sure if the panels are actually going like this with joined in the middle, so feel free to write it in the comment section. Next we continue with the landing gear wheels and landing gear legs. They are getting installed on the aircraft. Do not forget about their alignment because it's also quite special on this aircraft. It's also shown here on the small peak. You will have to decide on this step whether you would like to have the open or closed canopy. It will also define the choice of the parts. And here you can see the masking guide, so for the clear parts and for the landing gear wheel. And here we have the bombs installation for the marking B, as you can see, because all other markings are not using this bomb under the fuselage. Next we have the marking option for the first aircraft from July 1942, one more from France, spring 1942, another one from Belgium, late August 1942, and here we have two more from autumn 1942 from Soviet Union, and here we have another one from Norway, December 1943. And of course on the last page we have a stenciling guide for this aircraft, a lot of writings to apply, so do not be lazy, work on all this stuff and you will be rewarded with a really nice copy of the German fighter in 1/48 scale. So this kit should be already available on official Eduard website. You can get it together with all the necessary add-ons which I was mentioning from Brasin series or from 3D printed series. And of course I will be happy to hear your opinion about this release. Do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.